He was just a janitor, until he solved her code and changed their fate. The first time anyone really noticed him, was the night everything nearly fell apart. The research building was silent, humming with the low, eerie sound of machines working long after the scientists had gone home. Only one light glowed at the far end of the hall, a frantic, blinking reminder of someone still fighting against time. And just outside that door, in the quiet shadows where he always lived, stood a man everyone overlooked. To the world, he was just a janitor, a mop, a badge with no title, a ghost. But fate was about to turn, and it would start with one moment, one choice, and one secret he had buried for years. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the unseen strength in people, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. It truly helps the channel and keeps stories like this alive. He had been working in the building for 3 years, walking the same cold corridors every night. His name was Armand, though most people forgot it seconds after hearing it. Life had not been kind. Dreams he once held tightly had slipped through his fingers, one by one, until all he had left was this job that paid just enough to make survival feel like a slow race. Yet, somewhere under the uniform, behind the tired eyes, lived a mind that once solved problems far bigger than broken light bulbs. A mind capable of building, imagining, decoding. But the world never asked him to, so he stopped offering. That night he heard muffled crying from the research lab. At first he hesitated, unsure if he should interrupt. The scientists were brilliant, intimidating, unreachable. He had seen them walk past him countless times with a distracted nod, their heads full of theories he once dreamed of working on. But the crying wasn't the sound of frustration. It was raw fear. Inside, Dr. Liana Safdar sat hunched over her desk, surrounded by screens filled with strings of code collapsing in red. Errors. Her fingers trembled, and her eyes were swollen. She was the youngest lead researcher the Institute had ever hired, a prodigy. But tonight she looked nothing like one. Tonight she looked like someone on the verge of losing everything. The project she led held the promise of a groundbreaking medical algorithm that could predict early signs of neurological disorders. A discovery that would change countless lives. But a last-minute system crash had corrupted the final sequence, and the global presentation was only hours away. Years of her work were slipping away in front of her. Armand had seen distress before, but something about her shaking hands, the desperation in her breathing, made him take a step closer. He shouldn't have been there. He had no business near equipment worth more than his yearly salary. Yet something inside him, something long buried, pushed him forward. He asked if she needed help. She didn't even look up at first. Why would she? He was the janitor. What could he possibly offer? But then the system flashed another error. Her screen flickered, and in that moment of helplessness she whispered that the code she had spent years constructing was collapsing, and she didn't know why. Armand walked closer, drawn by instincts he thought he had abandoned. He studied the flickering lines on the screen just once, and his heart jolted. This wasn't ordinary technical failure. It was a logic loop buried deep inside the algorithm, the kind of mistake that only someone who understood the entire structure could locate. He knew that pattern. He recognized the architecture. It was similar to the work he once did for a tech startup before life pulled him into darkness and ruined the chance he never got back. Something awakened in him. He asked gently if he could try. She hesitated, her exhausted mind torn between hopelessness and disbelief. But eventually she nodded, maybe because she had nothing left to lose. Armand sat at the keyboard, his hands trembled, not from fear, but from the weight of returning to a world he loved. As he typed, the room filled with the soft rhythm of keystrokes, steady, confident, alive. He traced the corrupted lines, rebuilt the broken sequence, and rewired the logic flow as though he had never left the world of coding behind. Minutes passed, maybe hours. Time blurred as he lost himself in the work. When he hit enter on the final command, the screen glowed with a sharp, clean green check mark. The algorithm was restored. Not just restored, optimized, stronger, cleaner. Liana stared, stunned. The project she had thought lost forever was back, shining more brightly than before. She didn't know what to say. He didn't know where to look. In that moment of silence, softened by the humming machines, two strangers realized how brokenness sometimes finds its mirror in others. Word spread the next morning through the labs like wildfire. The presentation succeeded beyond expectations. The board executives demanded to know who had repaired the impossible, and when Liana spoke his name, the janitor, the man they had never truly seen, something shifted in the air of that polished building. They offered him a position first as a technical assistant, then as a junior programmer. Liana insisted on mentoring him, but in truth, she learned just as much from him as he learned from her. He wasn't merely talented. He carried a kind of quiet genius shaped by pain, humility, and a lifetime of being unnoticed. Months passed, and Armin rose quickly. What he lacked in credentials, he replaced with determination and brilliance. He built systems no one else thought possible, solved problems long before they reached crisis, and slowly rebuilt the life he once lost. Liana became not just a colleague but a friend, one who believed in him at every step, reminding him that it was never too late for a second chance, never too late to return to the things that made the heart come alive. What changed there? Fate that night wasn't just the solving of a code. It was the moment someone finally looked at him and saw more. It was the moment he allowed himself to try again. If this story touched your heart, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your support helps bring more inspiring stories to life. Before you go, tell us in the comments, have you ever been underestimated only to prove yourself later?